I did promise our viewers, at least that you'd share at least the story for. So can you share some, family-friendly and safe for the podcast stories for us?
Absolutely. There's a couple that I'd like to share. One deals with travel with the president. So that was the other thing. We were really food service security officers. We were also chefs. We were also butlers. We just did a lot of different things. But one of the trips that I took with the president was to Pakistan, President Clinton. And they went to the presidential palace in Pakistan. And I remember getting out there with Secret Service about probably 5 to 7 days before President showed up. And that's necessary so they can do all their walkthroughs and handle their security aspect. And for our end, we really didn't have a whole lot to do until it was actually game day, right, when he shows up and the food's being prepared.
Right.
So we wouldn't necessarily go and prepare the food in those situations, but more be observers to make sure that everything that was being prepared was being done proper, that would not be poisoned or cause the president to be sick or something, along those lines. In this particular situation, being that we're Westerners, we have a certain way of eating versus folks from different parts of the world, right? We have holding temperatures, we drink different types of water, and it's not a slam to those folks, it's just that our systems have just adjusted differently.
Right.
So I got in early that morning. They were preparing this big feast, and President Clinton was coming in. I think he'd got there the day before, and they were going to have this big luncheon and kitchen. I was in there at like 7 in the morning, and these guys are preparing, fish and lamb and different types of dishes. And I'm watching these guys, all these chefs from Pakistan, and they're cooking this stuff up, and they're plating it, and they're putting it on trays, and they're leaving it out in the open. They didn't have like holding boxes or anything for it. Mm-hmm. And a holding box would be something to maintain the temperature so bacteria doesn't, grow and create toxins and cause you to be ill when you eat it.
Right.
And so I was watching this, and I'm looking, and I was traveling with the chief petty officer. I was an E4 at the time, so I was a third-class petty officer. And I was traveling with the chief petty officer, and I went to the chief, and I said, Chief, we got a problem. Some of this food's been sitting out for 3, 4, 5 hours now. Boss ain't eating until like 1:30, 2 o'clock. This is going to be bad, And he said, well, we got to let the doc know. And at the time was Navy, she's an admiral or retired as an admiral, Connie Tramontano, I believe her last name. She was a wonderful person to work with. And I said, you got to let her know. I said, okay. And so I let her know. And so she told me, she says, well, let Doug know, which was the president's, I don't want to say handler, but he was his aide, kept a schedule, and hey, we got to do this, we got to do that kind of thing.